Hey guys, Brett Legassi here again, and I am here for the preseason Week 3 recap. I was there last night, and let me tell you, it was actually a beautiful night for a game. It was not hot, it was nice and cool. Um, and honestly, I was expecting a boring preseason game like the first week or week 2, but it was actually a pretty fun game. Towards the end when the backups came in, it was just kind of whatever. Especially Matt McGloin going for 85% of his passes just about. So, just watching the backups happening, it kind of got boring towards the end. But definitely some exciting things, some things to talk about, things to discuss. So, like I said in my other video, for what to look for, the first team got some good reps. Jay Cutler didn't get as much as I thought he would. And this is different than last year. I was thinking that, we will see the starters into the third quarter like before. But it looked like the starters only played the first half. And they're still cutting down to 90. So, they're trying to save their starters as much as possible. And, that's smart on the Dolphins to do because they've faced so many injuries. On one of the running plays, Jai got jacked up into Bushrod. And Bushrod was down there for a minute. He did come off the field, but he did return, so that was nice to see. I was a little worried because that's all we can afford, another guard to go down. Now, Bushrod is not a Pro Bowl guard or anything, but he's at least a veteran leader. So it definitely would hurt to have a veteran leader to go down and just another body guard to go down. But the guards did not play noticeably terrible. They didn't play noticeably exceptionally either, but a little concerned with the tackles. Tunsil kind of let Curry get right around him, bull rush him a little bit. So Tunsil's going to have to not allow that kind of stuff to happen. He will face guys similar to Curry's style. I know athletically he's going to match up with the athletic edge rushers, but he's going to have to hang with the bull rushers a little bit. Jawan James did get beat as well, but I know he's nursing a body injury. So I'm going to give him a pass on that one because he's actually had a pretty quiet preseason in a good way. Meaning he hasn't been beat up too bad. But Cutler continues to push the ball to Parker. He actually went to Parker a couple different times and hit him for a 72-yard pass, which it was right there. I was 13 rows from that catch. And it was a nicely placed catch to where Parker's going to go up and get the football. So Jay Cutler, what I saw, is more aggressive than Tannehill, which we all knew. But he trusts the offense. He knows where he needs to get the football. And he built a rapport with Kenny Stills and Julius Thomas this week. So now he's starting to get a chemistry with all of them. And the good thing about with Thomas, why it makes sense, is Thomas knows the system. He played it in a couple years. Cutler knew the system. He played in it for a year. So now he's got familiarity with the tight end knows the system. Receivers played in the system, last year, so they have some growth there too. But Julius Thomas played in it for a couple of years, so he really knows the system pretty well. And him and Cutler should find each other quite often. They should find some pretty good chemistry, and they did. At the goal line, Thomas wasn't even looking. Cutler still hit him for the touchdown right on the money. So it was a good time throw. Any later possibly could have been tipped or intercepted. And possibly a pick six, and Cutler knew to throw it early, and as soon as Thomas turned around, boom, it was right there, right on his hip. It was great. It was a good play, and it's not that often that we have a tight end that's a threat in the red zone, so that's nice to see. But the pass to Jeffrey, see I'm getting his old teammate mixed up. The pass to Devontae Parker was actually a really good one. It was up and over Darby. It was Darby was in his hip to hip. And it was just a higher ball, and they knew that Darby struggles to find the football when it's in the air. So, now that doesn't mean, understand that means when the ball's up, a jump ball. That doesn't mean when the ball is going to the receiver in a line drive. I'm talking up when it's a jump ball. So, they beat him up over his head, which is, hey, that's what you want to see. Some things that Tannehill doesn't always do. He doesn't always try to let his 6'3" receiver be 6'3" and out jump just about every corner. So that was really nice to see. Ajayi looked like he was in his old form, and that's not a weak defense that we're going against now. It's a physical defensive line, and it's a physical linebacker core, and they were able to run the football pretty successfully. Ajayi had 9 carries, 53 yards, so he was about 6 yards a carry. His 2 goal line rushes were good. The one The second touchdown he had was really nice. I mean, they tried to. He stopped, and then he just kind of broke right out of it, stepped away, and just kind of waltzed in the end zone. And the other one, he just plowed right through. Well, actually, it was the first one that he kind of bounced off and just waltzed in. But he looked good. I didn't like that Cutler didn't like, or that he liked the matchup of Ajayi and against Darby. I didn't like that. I think he had a better combination of Parker against the safety and Stills on the receiver. That was on the 3rd and long. So that was a play I would like to see Cutler get a little more aggressive on instead of trying to dump it off to the running back who's covered by a good corner. So Matt Moore, I don't know what's going on, guys. Matt Moore has not been all that impressive this preseason, but he hasn't been terrible until today, or until yesterday. I don't know what he was thinking. He did not anticipate the coverage at all on the fade route to Parker. I guess he just blindly had faith and threw it up. And we know Matt Moore's a gambler, just like Cutler is. We already knew that. However, that was just an ill-advised throw. It was just a bad throw. Just one I knew he wished he could have back. And he probably should have ran in the pocket, made something else happen, or try to. I think Stills was open on that play. I'm gonna have to watch it again. I watched it, the condensed game, but I'm gonna watch the whole game again. But I watched that again and again, and I kept rewinding that play, and it wasn't good. I got up this morning and did some things and got all my errands done and decided to watch that condensed game, and I saw that play, and I just there's no way that it would have ever worked. I mean, I guess he anticipated Watkins staying outside and playing over top of him, giving Parker a chance to jump for the ball. But Watkins attacked the ball. So it was just a bad anticipation. I think a rollout and throw it out of the back of the end zone would have been a much better play, especially since it was only first down. It was right after an interception. It was a beautiful interception by Lawrence Timmons. So that was a little ugly. Damian Williams and Kenyon Drake. Now, I just saw on Roto World, they were talking about Kenyon Drake has done little to impress. He's been a quiet August. Look, let me tell you guys. Behind J.J. is a committee. And they're going to play Damian Williams or Kenyon Drake based on the matchup, okay? I saw Kenyon Drake split out wide a couple times. Nobody's mentioning that. So he has the versatility. See, and they had Damian Williams in the backfield, Kenyon Drake split out wide. Okay, there's versatility, and they like that. Damian Williams can line up at fullback. We've seen that. He lines up running back fullback, kind of like Cobb, if you guys remember Patrick Cobb's. Back when it's Tony Sperano days. A little kind of a do-wall, not a feature back, but a little do-wall back that's definitely nice to have. It even does kick returns. And Kenyon Drake's the same way. He's a do-wall back, kick returns, lines up at receiver, a little more athletic and quite a bit faster than Damian Williams. And Damian Williams is a grinded-out guy, shiftier guy. And they have their place. They have their purpose. And both of them do their job. So ignore that. I think Drake is doing pretty good. He showed good burst and good explosiveness through the hole. Damian Williams would be more the feature back, I'm sure, if Ajayi goes down. But either way, they're going to be a committee back, so it doesn't matter. Let's talk defense. So the first team defense, I thought, did pretty good. Now, they're limited on their blitzes, so I understand that the pressure really wasn't always there, but it was there. I give Carson Wentz a lot of credit because Wake was on his back, and he still was able to get rid of the football. Branch closed in to have himself a nice sack, and I really like what Branch is doing. Godcho, it was all over the field again. Godcho, I was excited about when we drafted him because of his ability to get into the backfield. And if you remember my defensive line, my wrap-up of the preview of the team, I said about Godcho getting pressure upfield, and he does that. He does a good job at that. Sometimes every now and then he over-pursues, but I did notice a difference. When Sue and Godcho, when Sue and Godcho and Vincent Taylor, when it's a combination of the two of those three are on the field, the run defense is pretty solid. When Jordan Phillips is on the field, the run defense struggles. However, he did have a nice interception to return it for what looked like a touchdown. From my angle, it looked like he hit the ground with the ball and then it went out, but of course they were going to call that a fumble. Luckily, his foot stepped out about the 2, so that was a nice athleticism play, and that's where I think we have a good, solid rotation. I don't think Phillips is going to get a starting job, but I think between Sue, Phillips, Taylor, and Gacho, we're having a nice rotation. And then finally, it looks like, even though it's preseason, it looks like they're getting Phillips some time in Sue's spot. So maybe this year they'll let Sue get some rest so he's not burnt out at the end of the game, hands on his hips, gasping for air. So then we can kind of get Phillips in there to kind of play a little bit to keep Sue fresh for the end of the game, and him and Wake can wreak some havoc at the end of the game. So that is something to keep an eye on, something I kind of noticed. Linebackers, I thought played solid. Mike Hull is just doing his job. I think he's going to get some playing time. I think there's going to be a committee at middle linebacker that's going to base off matchups and schemes and what package you're going with. But let's talk about some of the backups. Chase Allen is going to make this team. That's a little look into my Final 53, which I'll do after this. Chase Allen makes the team. The reason I said that, I watched him last night. It was finally good to see it in person. I watched him scrape, get to the outside corner or the outside shoulder of the offensive lineman, rip, make the tackle. So, and I was like, hey, that's a really good read. He just read it. He read his keys, read his triangle, ripped down the outside shoulder, made the tackle. It was beautiful. So it's exactly how you coach it. I said, well, let's see if he does it again. Let's see if it's the same thing, because I always saw him in position on TV, but it was hard to see it without coaches filming all. Saw it again. He had 3 tackles within the first few plays of that drive that he was out there, and he was middle linebacker taking charge is what I saw at the huddle. He just snapping them up and getting their attention, making sure he's got the right amount. He was a quarterback of the defense, and I'm telling you this now. If he continues that play as a rookie, do not be surprised if Chase Allen gets on the field if somebody goes down, or at any point period if they're unhappy with one of the linebackers. Do not be surprised to see Chase Allen play. If Maluga is not keeping up or not playing well, or Mike Hull is not keeping up or playing well, look for Chase Allen to get his shot. I'm telling you, it was very impressive watching him. Trevor Riley, I saw actually kind of like Trevor Riley. And the reason I like Trevor Riley is because he just does his job, and he's special teams, kind of like Spencer Paysinger. He does a great job of special teams, I think. I don't think he's anything like special or anything, but I think he pretty much does his job. I'm actually looking at some of the stats here, guys. Chase Allen led the team with 6 tackles, which, again, I thought was impressive. He's been a tackling machine. I think, I'll look it up and tell you, but I think he leads the team in tackles for the preseason, which is, I think, pretty damn good. And then Tank Kersley, I'm going to go ahead and say it. I was wrong about him in my draft process. I got to go back and look at how I've been doing things. I think it was more of a scheme mismatch in college than it was himself, and how they had him doing things, opening his hips too much, because I've noticed he does pretty good. And actually, Xavier Howard's the number 1 corner on the team right now. Then Byron Maxwell and Tank Kersley. I have to look at it again, but I'm pretty sure that's the order it goes in. Tank Kersley is the 3rd best corner on the team as of preseason, so that's saying something. And let's talk about Byron Maxwell's mistake to give up a Torrey Smith touchdown. I don't know what he was thinking. I'm not going to act like I know the defense and the system and all that, but there's a miscommunication. And the 2 leaders in the secondary, Byron Maxwell and Rashad Jones, have got to clean that up. Jones is looking back at him like, dude, what are you doing? They had him bracketed. Now, Jones was playing a little shallow, so I will put some of that on Jones, because Smith should not be running right next to Jones. Jones should have been a little deeper to keep Smith in front of him. However, he did have a little bit of leverage to go for the ball if the ball was thrown different. If Maxwell was on him, there would have been a better chance in a smaller window for Smith to catch the ball, and they would have been able to go for it. And Smith being a little bit more of a body catcher would have closed his window quite a bit if Maxwell stayed on him. But Maxwell dropped off the cover underneath, but there's already the defender there. Bad play. Also, I noticed a difference in the secondary when Nate Allen's on the field. I was not overly impressed. He took a couple bad angles, and it looked like he kept taking the wrong reads. Instead of him filling for the linebacker, the slot corner, the slot corner's bailing, and he's not even filling. He's bailing in bail coverage. And now they have a slot receiver wide open, or a running back wide open, and now they got to come crashing down. They're getting 4 or 5 yards for a first down instead of only getting 2 to 3 because he should have been there, or nothing at all for an incomplete pass. So communication in the secondary seems to be falling. They need to work on that and clean that up. That's what it seems to be, because you got players bailing, players crashing. They're not on the same page, and that needs to get cleaned up fast. And I think it will. I have faith. But I'm not sure about Lou Anarumo. Still a little on the fence about him as a secondary coach. Although some of the players did step up under Coyle with him, so we'll see. But Jakeem Grant, beautiful touchdown, physical play, nice catch. I mean, he was gone. Like Mike Mayock said on the broadcast after I watched it at home, see ya, he's gone. Great way to break the tackle. I was actually telling my wife and my mother that watch out for him. He's fast. And I told my mom said, man, he's a little guy. I said, yeah, he's 5'7", 170. And I said, but don't let it fool you because he plays just like his idol Sproles. And I saw him and Sproles next to each other, by the way, and they're identical. If they were to switch uniforms, you probably wouldn't even know who was who. But Grant had a play just like you would see Sproles have. Double coverage, breaks the tackle from Rasul Douglas, and I forgot who the safety was. And breaks the tackle, gets upfield, and for the touchdown, he just burst his speed. And he beat the corner flat out, beat him. A better throw would have been on him, touchdown. Brandon Doughty led him by this much. And if I'm telling you, if it was Landry, if he had hands like Landry, it would have been a catch because, I mean, I know Grant has smaller hands, but, man, he laid out. He had the effort, and I think Grant seems to be hungrier for the job than Carew because Carew's been awful quiet. And then Drew Morgan. Let's talk about Drew Morgan for just a moment. He was a fluff piece for OTAs. They weren't wrong about him. Every game I've watched, Drew Morgan's open, wide open. And he uses shiftiness to get open. He is fearless. Here's the problem with Drew Morgan. It's not Drew Morgan. He was wide open 3 times. 3. Now, mind you, he's only 6 foot. And he's probably pushing 6 foot. And Doughty's throwing to him like it's Devontae Parker. He's throwing to him like he's 6'4", 6'3", and he's not. And he overthrew him a couple times. And even the Eagles fans that were sitting behind me were like, man, what does he think? He's throwing to a tight end? He said, man, if he hits him, he was wide open. Now, Morgan was wide open and would have been off to the races or a nice chunk of yard. But Doughty completely missed him. So I'd like to see Morgan get some time to starting lineup. Maybe next week. I'd like to see him maybe start with like the first team just to see what he does. Just to see how he does with the first team with Jay Cutler or Matt Moore. So, but he did pretty good on punt returns, ran into his own player, and instead of being a disaster, ran a couple extra yards. So that 6 wide receiver spot's still open, and it's between Stringfellow, it's between Morgan and maybe Malcolm Lewis, but I think it's really down to Morgan and Stringfellow, but we'll see. That's it for me, guys. I'm going to give you my Final 53 projection in a little bit. Let me get that up, and I'll try to do a screen recording for that one so you can see it better. All right, guys. That's my game recap. Let me know what you think. If you have any questions, give me a shout out. Once again, thanks for watching, guys.